And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the house. Lanny Ford Rembert with you. Juju will join us here in just a few minutes. I've posted a link if you found it yet. We are, for some reason, I can't figure out how to get on Facebook. They have changed something, and so we are streaming live on YouTube. And you still have the chat function, so I'm hoping you're finding this. I posted the link. Click on the link, and you will take you to the YouTube channel that we have, and any comments should come in through there, and we can see you. So hopefully that's going to work. It did Saturday, and I know we had some folks watching it on Saturday. I don't know what else to do. That's all I got for today. So big day, big weekend in football started on Saturday. The Saturday game, the first game was a really good game. Second game turned out to be a blowout, which not really surprised. But are things shaping up the way you thought they would shape up?
Dallas, San Francisco was, the close game. I think that, we were all looking for. I think, most people, even though we're Steelers fans, we knew what we were up against with that. And then, of course, holy cow, Tampa Bay. Brady at 44 years old looks like he's in his fourth or fifth year.
But here's the deal. He's all they got. Offensive line is fairly weak.
They're hurt. They've been playing together all year and then just dropping out, with injuries are catching up. But I got to tell you, when your line is injured or suspect, get rid of the football. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be back there, 5-step drop, 7-step drop, patting the football, looking around everywhere, because you're going to die. Get in the gun and get rid of the ball in less than 2 seconds, then the offensive line parts really doesn't matter. And that's kind of what they did yesterday. So
Tom usually doesn't have a problem with that. No. I mean, he has one of the quickest releases of anybody.
Yes, and the timing routes are so good. And Mike Evans may be the most underrated overall, not talked about every day, receiver in the NFL. I mean, he is phenomenal. He is that good.
Yeah.
And he is that good. Their defense is really good too, Lanny. They fly to the football. Their middle linebacker is just
my question.
Amazing.
My question, though, this is my question. Do they have enough to really make that deep run?
Oh, yeah. You talking about Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They have the most invaluable thing that you can have. It's not talent. It's experience.
Yeah.
The knowing what it takes to get there and how to utilize what you have to make that work. As people talk about, well, he's so talented. He does this. He does that. Talent is, until it's realized, is irrelevant. It's the potential of having it and putting it to use. So,
let me get to the phones. Good morning, sir.
Hey, gentlemen. Good morning. How are you this morning?
We're a little bit different. We're struggling with our old friend Facebook. They've changed some things, and I can't figure out how to get us logged into that, but that's okay. I posted some links. We're now on our YouTube channel, and the link is posted on Facebook for folks to find us on YouTube. And you can find all of our past shows are up on YouTube because we do publish everything up there as we go. I'll go ahead and make this announcement today because it's already running on the radio station. But I am in the process of purchasing WLON Radio in Lincolnton. We'll be bringing you the local sports we always have. The Saturday morning sports show will be on there. We're probably going to do a Monday night show on there as well, so we can be on the air on Monday nights. That'll take effect January 31st. I'll officially start running it on February the 1st, but so we kick it off on a Monday. That will be on January 31st, and we'll keep you posted about that. But since we're running some spots on there about the changes on WLON today, I thought I'd mention it to our audience. So other than that, how did the weekend go for you in football, sir?
Well, it went okay until yesterday happened and last night. And then when we watched
Would you stop? Stop. Have you not come to the realization yet that that's over? I've tried to break you down gently. And you just
I probably was, I was prepared for it being over before the season started.
oh,
But
this made it worse.
Yeah, it was tough to see the way they played.
Yeah.
Especially the first quarter, maybe, and the first quarter and a half was fine. But then once Patrick Mahomes got everything together, Kansas City, I mean, they were the better team. I mean, any fan would know that to watch that game. But just the way that, things went sideways in a hurry, Lanny. They scored, 3 touchdowns in 5 or 6 minutes, and it was 21-7 at half, and next thing you know, it's 35-7. So you start the second half.
And Mahomes had 5 touchdowns? Yeah.
Four
Yeah.
or five.
I think I heard this morning he had 5, which that's pretty impressive.
He had 5, and Kelsey had the other
Had
touchdown
one
pass.
more. Yeah.
But, the end of an era, sure. Moving on, what will the franchise, what will the team do now that Ben has rode off into the sunset? They got a lot of rebuilding to do, and I'm not so sure if you can throw up the Panthers and you throw up the Steelers. Both teams are in furious, transition mode or rebuilding modes, if you will. I'm not so sure there's that much difference between the two, except for maybe a few star players on defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then you have the tight end and a running back on offense. But both teams are in rebuilding mode. But now for the Steelers, Lanny, like you said, it's time. And it's time. They've had it good for a number of years. They've been contenders. They've been good. They've been division winners. And that's the way the NFL works.
Yep.
You can't stay on top as long as New England did with Tom Brady. It's just time. They're going to have to rebuild and let somebody else take over the mantle, and somebody else will be a top-notch team. Maybe the Cincinnati Bengals out of that division. But for the Steelers, they've enjoyed the great ride of 18 years with Ben, and it's just time to move on now.
Big Ben called it an honor to be with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's some comments from after the game.
And you guys dealt with a lot of adversity this season. How do you sum up what his team's able to accomplish this year?
Just a bunch of guys that fought for each other, that fought their butts off, and just competed. It wasn't always pretty, but there were a lot of games that we found a way. And like I said, just like tonight, fought to the end. And I'll just say that I'm so proud of this group of men and the way they fight and for each other, for the black and gold, for our fans, and so it's just been an honor to play with them.
I'm going to say this, and it took Ben a little while to grow up. Let's all be honest here. But he did. Yeah. He became a player, I think, that the Pittsburgh Steelers could be proud of once he kind of got himself together a little bit. The one thing that we kind of live in the fantasy world a little bit, Tom has done the impossible. At his age, leave the franchise he was with for his entire career, go to another franchise, win a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning did the same thing. But a lot of that had to do with the pieces around and not what they had left in the tank, but they had enough from a management standpoint and experience, as you said earlier. Absolutely. But the other part that worries me is when they can't come to that realization that it's time to go out and it gets ugly like you see most former players do. That's the thing that you don't want to see. I'm glad that Ben stayed with the Steelers for his entire career, that he had an 18-year career in the NFL. That's something that really doesn't happen, especially with the beating he's taken. He's almost been like a lineman at the beating that he's had. So I'm proud to see that he understood when it was time to go. I think he went a year too long, but it turned out okay. He still went out on a good note, what I felt like was a positive note, and so it worked out okay. Your thoughts, Ford?
Yeah, I mean, he's still one of the top 15 quarterbacks, arguably in the NFL. And if it's going to be Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins, I think both those guys are very talented, but
they're not a top 15 quarterback. I don't see them making it to a top 15 quarterback.
Like Juju said, you're just going to have to bite the bullet and rebuild, but I think you do it with an experienced quarterback while you're getting the other pieces right.
If you have the other pieces on the roster,
that's what I'm saying. You got to get them on there, and a lot of the blame was put on Ben. He had, statistically, he had a better year than I think they said Lamar Jackson. Now, I know Lamar was hurt. But
Mm-hmm.
Bill was hurt a couple games, I believe. Whatever. Okay. Again, I'm not saying they're two different style players, but I'm talking from a productivity standpoint for the year. So, man, it's hard. It's kind of like Gigi's talking about. You got to move on, but it's really, really hard, to accept, the possibilities of just another stagnant year of, being average or a little bit above average at best and not, taking the next step. And hopefully that's what they'll do when they're rebuilding. I don't know, man.
And Lanny, I think one thing to keep in mind, Ben probably did play 1 year longer, like you said, than he should have. But I think he had it, and the Steelers maybe had it in their minds that they did not want to go out or did not want Ben to go out like he did last year, sitting on the sidelines with his center, Marquise Pouncey, losing in that playoff game, no fans in the stands or hardly any fans in the stands. I think they just wanted to get him one last go-around and let him have his day in the sun. And they were able to do that for that final home game where all the fans recognized him and everything. And I think that's what they were looking for. And if the Steelers got into the playoffs somehow, some way, maybe if he willed his team into the playoffs, then that would be a successful season. And that's what happened. And now they have to turn the page. And as Forrest says, they got to start rebuilding. They had an offensive line that was in shambles all year. They got a first-time offensive coordinator who probably was in over his head and had all kind of issues. So, I mean, that starts today and that starts this week. Yep. What are they going to do? What kind of identity are they going to have offensively, and who's going to be behind center at quarterback? And they got some issues on defense as well, even though they were pretty good and have the probably the best defensive player in the league, and T.J. Watt, and some other guys, Minka Fitzpatrick, and some other guys up front that are really good. They still got some holes defensively on the linebacker side. The Steelers are not a team or not a franchise that goes out and spends money willy-nilly on free agents, but they may have to, as you mentioned, they may have to bite the bullet a little bit to maybe be smart and sign some free agents to fill in those gaps and draft well and develop well and maybe wait on that franchise quarterback in a year or two. It's all not going to happen in 1 year.
Amen.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And the one thing about it, I think that you can say, of course, we could say this about the New York Football Giants too. The Steelers are an organization that you feel comfortable with making the right decisions and actually looking at the overall picture. The Giants have kind of lost that a little bit, I think, with some of their fans. That used to be another one of those between the Maras and the Rooneys, and there were a couple of franchises. Of course, we've lost some of those now as Bills ownership, passed away, Broncos ownership passed away, some of that kind of stuff. But when you look at it and think about those franchises, they normally make really good decisions. They don't make those knee-jerk decisions trying to get something done for today as much they're trying to have a plan in place. And, there was some problems when they drafted Mason Rudolph. Ben wasn't happy about that. But, Ben was one of those guys, even late in his career, you didn't know if he was going to retire this year or not. And, so you kind of had to look out on what was best for the franchise. But, sometimes you have quarterbacks and other players that will work with you knowing that they're coming to the end of their career, and then some don't. But it looks like it's going to work out okay. I still don't think they have their franchise quarterback on the roster today. Now, I don't know, who that may be. You and I were talking about this yesterday, and Juju, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think based on what I'm hearing, Jimmy G's in his last year with the 49ers, and all indications are he's not going to come back. I mean, he could win a Super Bowl and not come back. And I don't know that he's in complete control of that, but I think they're stacking everything up with Trey Lance. And I'm not so sure that that's the best way to go, but Jimmy G may be the best free agent quarterback on the market after the season, and he could go to a place like Pittsburgh. Or he could go to a place like Carolina. There's a lot of franchises out there that need quarterbacks, and I think he's one. Another one is the Huntley kid out of Baltimore. But if they can afford it, I think they sew him up because they know how susceptible Lamar is to go down, and they got to have somebody that can continue to do what he does.
Yeah, I'll step in. You know, I think Jimmy Garoppolo would be perfect for the Steelers. But the thing is, if I'm a player and I want to go into the Steelers as an offensive player, what are we going to do? What kind of offensive identity? Who am I going to surround myself with? The Steelers wide receivers, you watched that game yesterday, they had a bunch of drops. Two of their wide receivers are free agents, including Juju Smith-Schuster. Their number one receiver, I'm not so sure he's a number one, Deontay Johnson, had 2 or 3 drops. So they have a good tight end. They have a strong running back, but I don't know if they got the supporting cast around a veteran quarterback. And I don't know if their offensive coordinator is going to survive his 1 year. Matt Canada, he may get the pink slip this week. From everything you're reading and hearing, that he was just over his head. So if you're a veteran quarterback, the Steelers got to do some things internally to fix some things before they can go out and try to bring in somebody to help that offense grow and improve. But today, looking at who might be the best candidate out there, I think what Garoppolo brings to the table, you don't want some guys going to run and scramble, but can operate an offense and throw the ball and get everybody involved. I mean, I like what San Francisco does offensively. I don't know if you can replicate that in Pittsburgh or not down the road, but certainly he would be a kind of guy that you would want to have, a veteran quarterback with a lot of playoff experience and a winner that could lead your franchise going forward.
That's a great point. And, Gigi, I think, too, we talk about offensive coordinators. Lenny brought that up, with earlier with, the possibility of, the offensive coordinator being in over his head. And you had mentioned as well. A lot of times when these guys get promoted, there's a reason that defensive coordinators in the NFL are the defensive coordinator, okay? These guys are really, really, really good at what they do. And it's because they have the athletes to match what's on the offensive side of the football, where up until NFL football, you don't ever see that. So anytime you're a defensive coordinator and you got better athletes on your side of the ball, which is very rare until you get to the NFL, offensive coordinators can take advantage of it. That is not the case. And when you get promoted like that, that's the first thing you got to realize is it's not about the play calling as much as it is the process involved of what you're doing. And I think that's where, we saw this year with Pittsburgh, Ben's inability to, do a somewhat of a sprint out, get outside the pocket, take pressure off at least one side of the line, so they could set one side. You didn't see that. Very little chipping with the running back, chip and, pitch it out, because it was just max protection all the time or he was going to die. And, I mean, it is what it is. And the point that you brought up about, some receivers and dropping the football, drops happen, but not at that rate and not consistently week over week.
But isn't that something that has kind of been, I don't want to say a trademark because it's negative, but Ben has always had that problem because of the way he throws the ball with receivers. You're finding more and more receivers. Aaron Rodgers has that problem because of what he puts on the ball when he throws it. So,
you're talking about the saw.
There's more and more adaptations have to be made with quarterbacks because receivers aren't used to catching, that 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Yeah. And so that's kind of one of the, I guess, things that has went along with Ben is he's had that issue sometimes with receivers, can't handle – what he's throwing.
It's a great
and Aaron Rodgers is the same way, and there's a few more out there that's like that. So I guess what I'm saying, Juju, is I'm not sure that the receiving crew is maybe entirely to blame for the drops. It could be a combination of things.
It could be. And I think part of it, too, is the concept that they're trying to do offensively.
Yep.
At least over the last few games that I saw, there's really no dynamic ways that they're running patterns. It's quick slants and it's go patterns.
Yeah. And
Ben's throwing up those passes, throwing them deep and hoping one of his receivers can go up and catch it. I mean, there's no really crossing routes and stuff that you saw from other teams. The Steelers wide receivers don't get separation. There's no AB out there getting separation from a guy.
Yep.
There's no Hines Ward or there's no Santonio Holmes. Guys can run down the field the kid that played at Clemson a few years ago that played for the Steelers that could really run, and Ben could just throw it out there and let him run under it. They don't have anybody right there right now to do that, to get separation. I think that's been another problem. And knowing at least from a wide receiver perspective, and I know these guys are professionals, but when you got to go over the middle all the time on quick slants, and sometimes you tend to get the little short alligator hands. Or alligator
Nobody wants to get blown up coming across the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, those are men that are playing safety and corner now. Those are 200, 220-pound men that are playing those positions, not 170 and 80-pound men. Those are men coming across to strike you, and they want to make sure that you remember coming across the middle and the next time that you come across the middle. So, I don't know. Cincinnati beat the Raiders on Saturday 26-19. Buffalo beat New England 47-17. I think Buffalo's the team that's going to come out of the AFC. I really do. Tampa Bay beat Philadelphia 31-15. Tommy looked good. Philadelphia is still a team, I think, that's going to start to give some contention in the NFC East. Yes. San Francisco beat the Cowboys, unless you talk to a Cowboy fan, and then they did not beat the Cowboys. Everybody else beat the Cowboys. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you right here. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I was stunned, absolutely stunned, that 1 second was not put on the clock at the end of the game for one more play. I am not a Cowboy fan, not crazy about Cowboy fans, but at the same time, you sent me a text, Juju. Almost looked like it was a little scripted along the way, but I think the Cowboys, to a point, got a few breaks, but that last one, there was no doubt that time had expired before that ball was snapped, and they couldn't go back. But I told Kim, I said, they're going to put a second on the clock. They're going to put a second on the clock. Mm-hmm. And the one that really infuriated me was the first down. There is no way they saw that much evidence to scoot that ball back 3 inches other than to take away the first down. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of technology. We watched the technology. Did you not watch it on your screen when they run that replay back and forth and back and forth? The nose of the ball was inside of his hand. You could not see it. I've never liked that replay of adjusting the ball position because you do not feel like it got spotted where it was supposed to be, unless it's just cut and dry. That was not cut and dry to me. Now, it wound up, it didn't really bother anybody. Last game, the Steelers fell to the Kansas City Chiefs 42-21. Patrick Mahomes put up 404 yards. Kelsey had 108, which is pretty good for a tight end. The Cardinals play the Rams tonight at 8:15. This is at SoFi. Cardinals and the Rams at 8:15. Now, that gives you the divisional matchups for next week. Mm-hmm. And the divisional matchups, all of them are set except one. Cincinnati travels to Tennessee. That should be a great football game, in my opinion. 49ers travel to Green Bay. I can only hope, as a stock-holding member of the Green Bay Packers, that the 49ers win. That's all I can hope for right there. Buffalo travels to Kansas City for the 6:30 game. Thank goodness somebody's got some smarts in their head, and they're not starting those games in the middle of the night like they usually do. That ought to be a great game as well. And then the winner of the Cardinals and the Rams will travel to Tampa Bay to take on Tommy. So that's what your lineup looks like for next week. Let me take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment. Juju, can you hang in there?
Sure can.
Okay, thanks.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a snowy, cold. I got 31 degrees. It is nasty outside. I'll go ahead and tell you that. Main roads like the road right here through Maiden, old 321, business 321, pretty well clear. You get off of it, no. My roads. I saw them scraping my road, Union Street, yesterday morning about 7:30. Yeah. But it was still coming down. Yeah. But the roads are very passable because it's packed, and we did not get the freezing rain, which didn't affect the power lines. I looked at the news this morning. There are just a handful of people in our general area, outside the Charlotte area, that don't have power this morning because we didn't get that freezing rain. Sleet doesn't bother you. Sleet can make driving hazardous, but it don't pile up like freezing rain does on power lines and that kind of thing. So,
well, I thought what was interesting is what you were talking about, the lack of power outages in a major storm like this. And I was listening to some of the reports, and they were talking about, well, it's just because maybe snowpack on an old tree and it fell over, and hit the line. It wasn't from. And we had some good winds yesterday.
Yes,
at least here we did. But like you said, to your point, there just wasn't a whole lot, and that's a blessing.
And I'm gonna tell you what,
that is, man.
Sunday morning, it was beautiful watching it come down. I mean, it was beautiful snow, and I've said this over and over. There's nothing like a snow. Nothing is quieter, and nothing smells cleaner. And it's just, as the snow falls, it has such a sound dampening effect. That's one thing. But it's different from rain and how much it cleanses the air and pulls the stuff out of it. How about what did you get up at your place, Juju?
Pretty much the same what you guys are talking about. It was, it started really about 5 o'clock. It was probably, an inch an hour, and it was beautiful when the sun came up. It was nice to watch and see. And the roads are Highway 127 passable. It was slush by yesterday afternoon.
Right.
I'm sure it got a little hardened. I haven't been out yet this morning, but I'm sure by maybe this afternoon the sun's supposed to come out, even though it's not supposed to get much out of the 30s. But it should be okay to travel, at least on Highway 127 in the interstates. It should be pretty good. But as you said, the back roads are still snow covered, and there hasn't been much activity, if any, at all yesterday, and certainly not so far this morning.
22 is the low for tonight, 42 tomorrow and sunny, but it's still nothing's going away. Then back down to 28 for Tuesday night. Wednesday supposed to get up to 51 and a chance of rain. Thursday is a high of 40, which is the low for Wednesday night. Frozen precipitation about 40%, then down to 26 on Thursday night. Friday about a 30% chance of snow showers. So nothing's leaving anytime soon. Friday high is 28 down to 22, then Saturday a high of 36, low of 24. Everything. I felt sorry for the folks. Saturday we moved my oldest one into a house. Her and her boyfriend bought a house up in Hildebrand, and most stuff was stored at my house in my building. So we got a U-Haul, moved everything in, and they got everything set up and got to stay up there on Saturday night. When I came home from up there, a house just down the street from us had been for sale. I hadn't paid any attention that the sign was out of the yard. But there was, on Sunday, in the driving snow, there was a big tractor-trailer moving truck in the road, and they were unloading stuff and putting it in a house. That is not a good day to be moving in.
God, yesterday?
Yesterday.
Oh, my
Yesterday.
God.
Yesterday.
That's incredible.
You got to want to get in bad when you're doing that, because that was really bad, really bad.
Holy cow.
Bob Duckworth said, drama, greed, and Cowboys, the three most important words for the NFL and ratings. Everybody wants to talk about the Cowboys. Those just generate clicks and numbers. Now, you've seen it. Do you feel like, Juju, do you think everybody is safe?
Everybody is safe?
Yeah, at the Cowboys. Well, for one thing, I think Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore are going to get some looks in the interviews now that the Cowboys are out for head coaching jobs. And I don't think Mike McCarthy's the one that put together what Habnap season they had, to me.
Yeah, if you watch the broadcast and read anything about the Cowboys, this was expected to be the season where they kind of put things together, make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that started in 2008. No, I'm sorry, 1908, I believe, is when it started. It was going to be their season. I think every season is their season.
1995 or 1996 was the last time they made a championship game.
Oh, yeah.
26 years ago.
But every year's their year. Every year.
Man, were the fans that upset yesterday? Were they throwing things at the players, or were they throwing things at the officials?
Officials.
At the end of the game.
Now, here's what I'll say. And I told you, in our little group chat we got, I put that in there. When the Niners got off to a pretty good start, it was kind of frustrating, and I didn't hear the Cowboy fans. I was hearing a lot of excitement when the 49ers were doing well. And that was unusual. And when they panned the crowd, it looked like it was 70, 80% Cowboys because it was like a whiteout. It's kind of what they did with the white jerseys. But I just felt like there was a lot of 49er fans there too, which is a little unusual down in Jerry World, I thought.
Well, I did. I saw the same thing, but they, like I said, maybe they were late arriving because they were certainly loud and got into it. Once the Cowboys kind of got raring to go there in the second half, the crowd was certainly in it. They had their white hankies or handkerchiefs or towels or whatever it was they were waving, and the crowd was pretty loud. I think San Francisco had some issues offensively at trying to get the plays and run those plays and hand signals and whatnot. But, the crowd was into it. As for what's going to happen in Dallas, I wouldn't be surprised if you see some changes if it's not one of the coordinators or two getting a head coaching job. Where do they go? Do they if they get rid of McCarthy, do they elevate Kellen Moore, or do they elevate Dan Quinn as the coach? I don't know.
Did you understand the Mike McCarthy hire when they made it?
No, I did not, because apparently Jerry did not even do the interviews. He didn't really interview anybody. He just went ahead and said, "Okay, here's the guy I want. Here we go."
What do you think, Ford? Were you surprised?
No, because I think – well, I mean, yeah, but no, because I think he was just looking for somebody to manage the team instead of just coach it. He needed somebody with managerial experience because he had more in place. And then, I guess the plan was to bring in a defensive coordinator or Quinn was coming in, whatever, and that he needs somebody more to manage things in the locker room with that experience than actually be the play caller, and to have that kind of rapport with the players. And, he's steady. I mean, what you get with McCarthy is what you get. He's not going to lose his mind. And in Dallas, you got to have, the right tone for media, and because that's what it's about. Jerry's world. Yeah. And that's where he's at.
Now, this was another story that came out, and I got to be honest with you. I like Jerome Boga. I've always liked Jerome Boga. But I do not like it when they bring in mixed crews, when they bring in who they feel like's the best line judge, the best, the best back judge, all that kind of stuff. You need to bring in complete crews so that they know how everybody works together. Yes. Now, I think that's part of the problem. Now, part of these guys were Boger's guys, part of his crew. I'm not making excuses. I did hear the whistle in the replay. I saw that. But how do you stop a play in the middle of a pass? How do you do that?
Well, it's the same thing as you running the football when the inadvertent whistle happens. The play's going on. So basically, the play finishes and then, it goes back and you just got to, theoretically, I think you just replay the down.
And that's what should have happened.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I think it was Boomer and Phil were really upset about that, yesterday on the show. Yeah. And I understand that. But they said they determined that the whistle didn't take place till after the play. We all heard it. Well, I say we all did. I mean, I think most people
The officials say the whistle was after the catch.
I don't know about that.
Well, here's the thing. Could there have been a whistle from somewhere else? I mean, I'm just saying.
Yes.
Okay.
But we all knew. I say we all know. Those of us that watch.
Why didn't New York overrule them?
I don't think you can.
Oh, I thought they could.
I don't think. I think they determined that it was that it was after the play instead of inadvertent, right? I don't know. Juju probably knows that better than any of us. I don't know.
yeah, right. I remember hearing Gene Steratore saying that he thought there was an inadvertent whistle.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it kind of got overruled.
Well, there was.
I don't know.
And here's the thing. Inadvertent or erroneous whistles are not reviewable under NFL's current instant replay rules.
Well, there you go. Yeah. But see, they're saying it wasn't. They're saying that it happened after the play. Now, unless we're on some major sound delay, which I guess we can be, but when I hear a guy get hit when he's running the football, it sounds like it's happening right then, the way it sounds. So I don't know about that. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to go on record again in saying if you're going to review one, you got to review them all. You can't pick and choose what you're going to review.
Well, but to this point right here, there's so much rule emphasis put on not hitting the quarterback. That's why that whistle was blown.
Yeah, a lot
because
of it, yeah.
Burrow looked like he was out of bounds and they were trying to protect him. And at some point, if you're going to put all, it's kind of like the way that kids and adults are treated. Younger adults, I guess you would say, getting ready to be. When you get around 15, 16, 17 years old, you want all of the privileges and advantages of an adult with all the protections of a child. Mm-hmm. Well, this is the issue. The same thing in parenting is the same thing with this. Mm-hmm. You either play football or you don't. And I get how much money. I get it. It's an investment. But at what point does the investment overtake, the opportunities that are allowed within the sport to make it a true sport?
And I'm not sure.
So that's where the dilemma is.
I'm not sure, but I believe
it's crazy.
In college, everything is reviewable because I think the guy in the booth looks at every play and he's the one that stops action if something is out of kilter.
So why do we not have that in NFL? I mean, how's
I've never understood that. They said it would hold the game up too long. You don't ever see the delays in the college game that you see in the pro game when it comes to reviewed calls.
So it's an if, or an and, but. If you're going to do the replay, do the replay.
I say review it all or get rid of it. One of the two.
I mean, come on. If you're going and leaving it up to the guy on the field, how in the world is he supposed to see everything? The whole point of the review is so you get it right. Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that's bothered me. It's not about getting it right. They want to – now, that go back to baseball. You don't want –
I don't want anything.
You don't want a balls and strike
I don't want anything.
Electronic.
I don't want out safe at first. I don't want anything. I want accountability with the people that are calling the game.
Okay.
I don't want anything. I want a completely human element. Now, that's me. Most people do not because they can't take no for an answer. My thing is if it's that close – then my runner, if he's the one that hit the ball and they caught him out, he should have gotten faster and trained harder.
Is that the same thing in football?
Well, I would take it all out because there's no but again, there's so much money riding on bets and all these other things that's what falls into it. Okay?
Well, with the betting, with the how betting has become more prevalent now and legal. Will that force them to make a change that maybe they don't want to in making everything reviewable so that you can – because I'm guessing if that had been reviewable, they would have gotten that right.
Well, there is –
we could hear the whistle.
No, you're right, and there is one of the talks about, because they do review it, it keeps people from being enticed to throw games. Now it's out of their hands and it's up to the review. Mm-hmm. So, it kind of works – I get it. I mean, it is what it is. People say, well, that's not right. You shouldn't do that. Well – what you shouldn't do and what is a lot of times are two different things in this world. So, I mean, whatever, man. I'm a purist, but that doesn't mean I don't think things ought to be right either. It's a fine line. I know.
Bob agrees with you. Shut down replay. What's your voice, Juju?
I don't know if you can. I think that's the cat's out of the bag or whatever you want. Analogy you want to give. Mm-hmm. You can't put it back in.
Right.
I think they ought to use replay because you can probably speed up the process for a lot of different plays. I'm all for doing that and maybe making more plays reviewable. I'm also for putting a chip in the football where you don't have those damn chains and you're having measurements, and it comes down to a measurement late in the game like that. Yeah. I'm also for in college putting the chips in the helmet so the coaches can call the plays to the quarterbacks in the huddle like they do in the pros. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the chips, with the chains and the footballs on the college level. I think there are ways you can incorporate technology and maybe take a little bit out of the human element because we all know, Lanny, and that the game has become so fast that officials can't keep up. especially in the college game with the first downs and the chains. I don't know if you're getting really good guys that can work the chain crews like that anymore as you used to have. I just think this is the time to make those necessary changes. Coming out of the pandemic, maybe some smarter people need to get behind closed doors, sit down and talk and say, how can we make our game better? How can you grow the game, or how can you make it better, easier, without having all these controversies? But as you said, the drama adds to it so much. When you have so many of these playoff games with all these eyeballs and the game's coming down to a measurement with 1 second left in the last second of the game, I mean, that's what the NFL wants.
Mm-hmm.
But they do need to tweak and make some changes.
Well,
because you're seeing this too often.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is the problem, like with the chains. You would think there is a better way to do that with all the technology, with GPS tracking and all those type things that you've got, that there would be a better way to do that. The problem is they don't want to do that. I'll give you another example. When I was growing up, and I'll be 62, nothing happens into this month. So when I was growing up, in my mind, at less than 10 years old, did I ever think when I was at this age I would still be getting from place to place the way that I did when I was 10 in a gas automobile? I thought it would be the Jetsons. I thought stuff would be flying around. We would have all kinds of technology and things would be different, you know? So it's kind of the same way. Sometimes I think technology is there. We just don't want to embrace it for whatever reasons. It could be economic, as you said, Juju. If we make it cut and dry, where's the drama? Where's the talking points? Where's the people that's going to – listen, that Cincinnati game and that Dallas game will be beat around all day long by every talking head that's in sports.
All week.
I mean, this is going to be – unless something replaces it tonight – those topics will be going on until we play it again. So if it were cut and dry, it wouldn't be any fun. They don't want it to be that way. I guess that's the only thing I can figure out, because I'm like you. I can't believe there's not better ways to do this, because I told you in my chat last night that immensely pissed me off on that measurement, because how did you see? What did you see I didn't see? I'm watching the same TV you are. What did you see? I mean, I bet I even got a bigger monitor than you do. I know that I got a bigger monitor than that on the field. That guy's holding that shoebox, letting the referee watch it. I've got a bigger screen than that. What did you see I didn't see? And you know, like you said, you put a sensor in a pad. Well, you know when that knee goes down and where that football was. It's a calculation. But I think the other part with that, Juju, you can't bring that technology all the way through the game. You can't do that in high school. And major college could do it, but probably a Division II school would struggle for that kind of technology, because you got Division II schools that still don't have replay, even though there's replay in college.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think a lot of it comes down economics more than anything else. I kind of took you by surprise. You got anything else going on today?
No. I just sitting here watching the Weather Channel, talking to you guys, talking a little sports. I'm guessing, Lanny, that you'll see probably some changes, if not after the game tonight. Tomorrow you'll see some coaching changes. The question was, a friend of mine texted me last night during the Steelers game, and she's a big college football fan, Clemson fan no less. She's asking me, where's Arch Manning going? And Clemson's one of the Final Five schools.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't made up his mind yet. I don't know if he's going to go to Ole Miss. I think Clemson's in the running, and I can't remember the other three schools. I have to go back and look at my text. But she seems to think that it's going to be Ole Miss followed by Clemson. It's going to be one of those two schools, and he's going to make his announcement.
I'm going to throw an underdog out there.
Okay.
How about he goes to the quarterback whisperer? Southern Cal.
I don't know if that was one of his Final Five.
Lincoln Riley wasn't there when he picked those Final Five.
Well,
does that add anything different?
I'm not arguing with you. You might be right.
Does that add anything different? I mean, I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
Here's what I think. I think that he'll stay in the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if you're from the Southeast. I don't know if you can go to Southern California and go Hollywood, that kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, he might end up there. I just think that it's in his blood and in his genes. Maybe he's going to stay in the Southeast and maybe Ole Miss.
He's a number one NFL pick regardless of where he goes. I think everybody can kind of settle on that. Let me give you just a final couple questions for the two of you. This is Dan Graziano from ESPN. He's saying Cowboys will fire Mike McCarthy and elevate one of their coordinators. You could argue the Cowboys were overseeded, shouldn't have beaten the 49ers since they were 6-0 against the NFC East or least, whichever way you want to look at it, and 6-6 against everybody else. 14 penalties. Quarterback draw up the middle from the 24-yard line with 14 seconds left and no timeouts. Discipline is a reflection of coaching. In the regular season, the Cowboys led the NFL with 153 penalties and finished second with 1,100 penalty yards, 1 yard behind the league-leading Raiders.
That's true. Well, the Raiders have all, even going back to their heyday, I mean, the Raiders were always one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. Hell, even when the Steelers were good in the 70s and 80s, they were very much penalized. But, I mean, there's some good talking points there and good reasons why the Cowboys might get rid of Mike McCarthy. There are a lot of decisions that still have to be made with the Cowboys, with the Steelers, with the Panthers, their coaching staff.
Panthers still got a team?
I'm sorry?
Is Panthers still got a team? I wasn't sure. I mean, it's kind of.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
To your point, all right, and what Juju said. Okay, they brought in Bill Parcells, and he still couldn't get it done.
At Dallas?
Yes. I mean, I really
the
don't
problem
think
is not the coaching.
That's
it's ownership.
What I'm getting at.
Just like
that's
Washington.
What I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Johnson got it done, but that wasn't good enough. So guess what?
Well, he got it done until he was taking the spotlight off Jerry Jones.
And so I really think that this is not the core issue, but it's what the narrative is. It's like most of the other things in our lives. The core issues are really not what the narrative is.
If you're Dan Quinn or Kellen Moore,
what,
do you stay around if you're offered a head coaching job?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. See, I think they lose both coordinators.
It's career suicide if you do.
And I think if they lose both coordinators, that Dallas is going to be worse next year, not better.
And people talk about, Jason Garrett. Listen, he was the perfect poster child.
Because he just did what Jerry wanted him to
do. And he's a nice guy. He's a good-looking guy. He's media-friendly. He's not invasive. He's easy to talk to. He was that media – and people, they had rights to criticize. I mean, anytime you're a head coach or coaching anything, you have a right to be criticized. I mean, that's just what it is. But, this is crazy. I mean, it has nothing to do with who the coach is.
Yeah. Is Jalen Hurts the quarterback of the future for the Philadelphia Eagles? You think so?
Yes. He's still young in the league. What did he do at Alabama was his biggest criticism? Oh, he can't throw the football. Well, he comes in the SEC championship after having his job taken away a year earlier, in the last quarter or last half, comes in, wins it, throwing the football and running it. What does he do? He graduates, transfers out, goes to the quarterback whisperer, learns how to throw the football. He's still in a learning process. The thing that you can't take away or that you can't inject into somebody else is the attributes that Jalen Hurts has. He is character 100%. And he just needs to – it's like they kept talking – Troy kept saying, he's throwing the ball high, he's throwing the ball high. Okay. Troy wasn't real good either. He was good, but he threw the ball high his second year in the league, third year. Let's give this guy time to develop. And the fact that they're in the playoffs to start off with, in that dysfunctional NFC East, they've got something to build off of.
What do you think, Juju?
I agree, they do. And one thing they got to build off of is 3 first-round draft picks this year. In the draft,
yes.
Even though they're mid-first round. Yeah.
Huh?
Like 15, 16, and 19,
Absolutely.
something like that?
Absolutely.
Something like that, yeah. That's good to build, interior. defensive line and get some weapons maybe for him. And I could see they have an offensive line that just gets after people. I mean, they pushed it even, and I was watching closely because the kid from Hickory plays for the Eagles, Landon Dickerson, and he was pushing around that defensive line a little bit for Tampa Bay, even though Tampa Bay, ended up controlling the game. But the Eagles' offense, again, the way the plays were called and the design of the offense is really simplified. It's more of a college offense, a lot of RPO and that kind of stuff. But it's, they get a more of a pro-style offense. They could certainly win with him.
Yes, sir.
Get a little bit more guys around him. More weapons. And I guess the question is, Lanny, when did we stop or when did we start thinking that a quarterback could be fully developed in his first or second year? I mean, it used to be 3 or 4 or 5 years before a quarterback could become, the kind of guy that can lead a franchise. And all of a sudden, fans are now hoping that we need to have our franchise quarterback be, in the prime of his career in his second season.
Not if he's a top 10 pick. Nobody's going to give him that kind of time. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying. I'm just saying they're not going to. And the problem is they wait till they get so bad that they just can't afford to go with somebody else. So you waste a top tier quarterback. Because you can't protect him, because you've got somebody leading him that has no idea what they're doing. I always go back to David Carr. I'll go back to that over and over and over because he could have been a true franchise quarterback. He had the tools and just got wasted, in my opinion.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And think about this. How you got Jalen Hurts under center and you can put him in the gun. How do you defend the zone stretch with him under center? As strong as he is and as fast as he is, to be able to get outside the pocket off the boot. I mean, how do you – I'm not saying you can't defend. I'm just saying that's just another, arrow in the quiver. The fact that he knows how to run RPOs like Juju said. Yes, he is that quarterback that is strong enough to take that hit because his foundation is incredibly strong. I think, what was he, the second strongest guy at Alabama? Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't that sound right?
And didn't work out.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is just crazy to think that he's not the guy. It's like, it's like we said, give the guys time to develop. Look what they did to poor Dwayne Haskins. He played 1 year at Ohio State, basically, okay? And then all of a sudden, he can throw the football this way. He does this. He does that. They look at all of the intangibles as far as the athleticism goes, but not the developmental process of the mind to be able to do check downs. They broke it down on Dak last night again, who is a tremendous athlete and obviously, a great quarterback. But Orlowski's breaking him down this morning. Wow, man.
Quick coach's question before we get out of here. I want to see, because I think coaching hires are going to start. Okay, I think we're getting close now because some of the prime candidates are out now. So the Cardinals and the Rams, I think everybody's safe there. Cincinnati, Tennessee, they're safe. Green Bay, San Francisco, safe.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, Buffalo. The only one is Kansas City, and that would be Eric Bieniemy. But I'm not sure that he's going to get a look again. So will we see some coaching hires this week? And do you see, now that the Raiders are out, do you see them making a genuine run for John Harbaugh?
I don't think so. I think Harbaugh was just angling. He might surprise everybody. I just think he was angling for after he took the big hit last year with his contract. I think he was angling for a new contract. I think you're going to probably see some more interviews, Lanny. I think the offensive coordinator from Buffalo and Leftwich, the offensive coordinator from Daboll, and Leftwich, the coordinator from Tampa Bay. I think they're going to probably get some interviews. If Dallas comes open, if the Raiders come open, I think the Raiders' job is going to come open. It's one thing to hold a team together like their coach did this year after everything that they've been through, but it's another thing to build a strong, organization. I don't know if he's the guy for that. So I think you're probably going to even see more changes. I don't think but I just don't think I can't imagine Harbaugh going to the Raiders.
Yeah, that's another. Bob says Todd Bowles. That's another one. Too.
Oh yeah. And you learn so much, to Bob's point, from that first time your head coach like Bowles was. You know, the things
At
not
the dysfunctional
to do.
Jets.
Well, no, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like it's such a learning curve that these guys that didn't make it per se on the first time through, it should not be dismissed. You know, on that second time because of the learning curve.
But the problem with the learning curve is you go into a dysfunctional organization. An organization is strong. It's not strong in management, right. And the reason you got the job is because they suck. Same reason that a quarterback, a top tier quarterback, goes to a terrible team. You know, I mean, it's just not a good way to do it. All right, that'll wrap it up. You back in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Juju. Thanks for taking the time with us, buddy.
Hey, went by quick, man. Fastest hour in sports.
Always does. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
All right, you too. Bye.
See you, man.
See you.
Bye.